Greetings. What's going on, everybody? This is your shamanic minister, Convoy Satori, back at you again. But I just wanted to touch on something else. I know I mentioned the selectivity, the aspect of selectivity and how those things are inside the word as far as having eyes can see, those will see, having ears to hear, those will hear. Well, just to put some context on top of things, this is called divine illumination. Now, the concept of divine illumination comes back where prior to where, the Catholic Church grew in power and things of that nature, and colonialism really took over into indigenous lands. This was by a lot of the Enlightenment period with the philosophers and things of that nature like Socrates, Aristotle, and it was talking about in the sense that there needing to be some divine light, some supernatural energy that comes into you and help push your mental development, your transmutation. Now, I don't have an issue with this. Even in indigenous times, we talk about how your ancestors are with you and things of that nature. So there's no issue with an ambiguous aspect of divine illumination. But the problem is now where I can say that God is talking to me, or I felt like Jesus is sending me a message, or I feel like my grandmother's trying to speak through me. And then it's just like, oh no, you should be talking to spirits, or you're not a pastor, you're not ordained, so you can't be having this type of divine illumination. So basically, the selectivity from universal higher energies and higher consciousness down to us in this human realm is only filtered through an institutionalized religion, dogma aspect, if you will. So now a man can say whether or not you have divine illumination. That's kind of the issue I have with it. But we also see in a lot of scriptures where the divine illumination is. So one place that you can see this inside of scripture is in Mark 8:18. It's in there a lot of times as far as this aspect of selectivity and therefore divine illumination that's inside of the word. How Christ consciousness, or Jesus as you put it, or may put it, laid it out. But in Mark 8:18, it's an awesome example. Having eyes, see you not? Having ears, hear ye not? Do ye not remember? So the concept is how tying in having the eyes to see and the ears to see into this linkage with your memory. So almost like you need to remember who and what you really are on a spiritual level inside of these carnal bodies. And being able to do so, you will have the ears to hear and the eyes to see. So with that, it draws a question, what is magic? So now when you start asking about magic and how magic works, well, Arthur C. Clarke was the one who made the quote that's saying any sufficient advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. So when you're talking about sufficient advanced technology and you're not being consciously and cognitively aware of its inner workings, then it will perceive to you as magic. So I like to refer to this study. Like, it took me a long time to embrace the fact that I got a lot of geekisms on top of the things that we did that we had no business doing and being involved in that we had no business being involved in. Despite all that stuff, I had to embrace my geekoid. And my wife had asked, and we asked each other questions like this all the time, that if you can go back into any space and time, where would you go? And one place I would go back to is where a study was done on subatomic particles. And this is a very interesting study. So the study took two slits inside of a wall, right? So slit like this, slit like that. And the rest is a solid wall. And it wanted to see how waves move. And what would the reaction be when the waves moved through these two slits. And what they saw was like this multiplicity pattern on a back wall. So when the waves went through, they went through the slit and then kind of collided into each other and made these multiple slits on the back of a wall. Sort of how you can see this, where you have two options that are perceivable, but it turns out to be a limitless or you have vast more options in front of you. And that's the way kind of like the waves presented itself and how it moves. So they said, okay, cool, awesome. Let's look at particles now. So then they took a particle gun and said, shooting it through these two slits in the wall. And lo and behold, what did they see? Two solid slits on the back. It didn't provide the multiplicity on the back wall like the waves did. Okay? So they said, all right, cool. That's what we expected. And they said, let's go subatomic. So going to microscopic subatomic particles, same thing like our cells and atoms in our bodies, and said, we're going to fire these. And they did these in the form of photons. So they shot these through the two slits. Boop, 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 boop. Same way. And they came and looked, and this is the part I would love to be in the room. They look, and what pattern did it put? The same pattern as the waves. It had the multiplicity on the back. So the different options, the limitless perception that it could be anything. But they're mind blown. They understand how it works with waves because the waves collided into each other and provided these different slits. But how did this work with photons? Light. How did light go through these two spots but show up like waves on the back? So they said, we high and we messed up. So they go back and slow the gun down. Boom, 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 through the two slits. Thinking that, all right, let's go eat a sandwich. Let's go say what's up to the people. We'll come back and check. Come back and check. It did it again. The multiplicity pattern on the back wall. So they're mind blown. So they said, we got to see what's going on with this gun. Something up with this gun, this photon gun. They put a camera there to watch the photon gun as it did it. Boom, 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 boom. Look back on the back pattern. Now, all of a sudden, it's just two slits. So they said, what in the world? They moved the camera, did it again. Boo, boo, boo. Multiplicity. Put the camera there. Two slits. Conclusion is, your perception makes it constant. When there is a perception towards how this information is traveling, you're going to make it constant off of your conscious awareness of things. You're going to make it either slit or slit. That's it. So you're going to filter it into this more constrained way of perceiving things versus having it be limitless potentials as it was before you put your eyes on it. So this was astonishing. Now, the fact of the matter is I bring this up is because as in Revelations 12:20 or 13:23, as it spoke about them and their sorceries, these realms of man and their sorceries. And this is the aspect of sorcery when your will is used against you according to someone else's will. Your will is used to do someone else's will against you, meaning they're using magic. They know the inner workings of how your brain works, how these aspects of you on a subatomic particle work, that you're actually a limitless being in a vessel and you can be whatever you want. But if I control and scope and chose or if I control and herd you to see how I want you to see, then it's going to be this or that. But if you unlock this magic yourself, then it's going to appear to be whatever you can open your heart, your consciousness, your mind to, and that's what you can become. So where else can we see these types of inner workings? I wrote a bit of them down here, and it's in the sense of like you may be watching this video. And that's why I want to do these videos more, because it's a sense of working the magic, the information. You go and watch a movie where somebody is murdered, and you're watching somebody stab this guy or shoot this person or kill a bunch of zombies. That is literally in the TV, and how it works is storing in your mind in the same closet as when you actually went to the grocery store today. So the things that you're actually doing and it's storing in your memory, when you're watching something, it stores in the same place. So it's indistinguishable inside of your brain. And that's what they know, why they have you watching your shows, watching these concepts of love on TV versus in your love life, and you wonder where you have these these expectations that are failing in your actual life based off the TV. Because in your brain, this is the way it should work, right? Well, that's another aspect, is the way that our memory works is by actual neurons. Neurons that are memory points, okay, inside of our brain. But when we think of a concept and understand the concept, say love, hate, jealousy, what it does is take a joint relationship of these neurons. Shoo, 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 shoo. Love. So it goes and looks at when you was with Felicia, when you was with Susan, when you had that relationship with Megan, and then it's like, this is what we see as love. Now, what if we watched a whole bunch of TV? So it's storing this sitcom in there, your experience with Megan, this favorite movie of yours you experienced with Susan, and now this is love. But without your inner workings of these mechanisms, this magic is going to be working. Your sight and how you see and how you perceive, how you can be, is going to be more acute and controlled. Okay? Boxed in, if you will. And the other way, let's see. So we can process memory also by our ears, correct? So when every time you hear, it's hitting the eardrum. But the way that anything hits the eardrum is hits the eardrum in a certain way. Do-do-do. Is the very way that you hear me talk may hit the eardrum. That's after my voice gets recognizable. But that's going through your neurological pathways, through your memory, so that you become aware of it or not. This is why when you hear something, you're like, what the hell was that? There's no reference point. It came back, no reference. I don't know what that is. So you go into this anxiety mode. And so that's how you also work. So memory is a major aspect. Thus, as it's stated, do you not remember? Do you not have eyes to see? Can you see? Do you not have ears to hear? Can't you hear? Can you not remember? So do you not have control over this inner magical workings, or are you leaving it up to them? So you have these moments in life where you can run into periods of shock. And how are these shocks coming in? It's because these movie aspects versus your real aspects inside of your memory bank. You go and behave off of one from a movie aspect that's actually soft versus something where you actually did and you behave off of that, that's a hard. And what they're doing is pushing you to make soft things hard. But then it conflicts. It conflicts when you actually did something from a memory and then you manifest that authentically in your reality versus something that's still in your memory, but you just perceive this somewhere else. You know, it's not your own wisdom. It's not your own experience. And then you manifest this and it goes belly up. And so we're having this conflict between soft and hard concepts within our neurological because we're not gaining control over this magic. So all in all, the point is that it shall be what you choose to see. And what you choose to see is based off of how you choose to have control over these mechanisms, these inner working magical mechanisms within your brain, within your consciousness, your heart, that was given in birth to you from the creator source, God. That Christ consciousness, Jesus, came down and explained to you how do you work so you can own yourself and stop falling to these sorceries as wrote about in Revelations. So it's like important to see that we have to, in order to really see, it's important to know that in order for us to really authentically see and really authentically hear, we have to do so via frequency. Okay? Because it's the frequency and vibrations that move the same way as the waves. All right? When meeting material and going through those slits, filtering into this reality, if you will, it still will possess the opportunity to be limitless. Versus when you want to put someone else's perspective on how these frequencies can fire, it's going to be absolute. This to your soul will always cause a conflict because you know that it should compute limitlessly because that's how it derived from the source as a frequency and a vibration moves as a wave does. So how do we get back to seeing and hearing via frequency? These frequency equals thoughts. When you think about this with frequency, I know the concept can be hard for some, but they're your thoughts. And your thoughts are birthed by your experiences. And they're tamed via meditation. So the more vast that your experiences are, the more outside of a box, you can't box them, your experiences are, the more limitless your frequencies are going to be. Those waves are just, it will be hard to box them in to slit, or better yet, put a preconceived camera perception towards. Wait a minute, you can't tell me to just do it this way and therefore it comes absolute because I've experienced so much. It will still behave and perform as a wave. And the same way with meditation. They're tamed via meditation, your frequency, your thoughts, that is. The more that you go inside, see them with your imagination, file them, manifest them into different pictures. But the more you engage your thoughts from the inside by yourself, the more you will gain control over your inner workings, your magical self. Therefore, it is what you choose to see. And I pray that you move forward with this, and therefore you have eyes to see and ears to hear, and that you remember. Balance, love, light above all.